wonder how to enter flow state? Here are my top 5 tips for artists and creatives. Hey, I'm Rees. I'm a creative director with over 25 years of experience working with global organizations and leading creative teams. And on this channel, I explore ways to help you step into your highest creative self so you can experience the exhilarating freedom of creating your art on your own terms. Today, we're going to talk about the elusive flow state. You've probably experienced it, or you really want to. That state of pure absorption where you lose all sense of time and self, nothing else matters but the task in front of you, and in which you do work that feels effortless. But you don't know how to get into flow, or if you've ever been there, you don't know how you got there and you don't know how to get back. Well, in this video, we are going to cover flow state theory, how it relates to us as creatives, and I'll give you 5 practical tips for calling up flow on command. At the end, I'll give you a 7-day plan to practice sinking into flow so you can get really good at it. If you're not familiar with flow state, I talk more about what it is in another video of mine, what is flow state and how it affects your creative process, which is linked below. So check that out if you want more information on flow itself. But you can achieve flow state doing anything from rock climbing to working on a production line. And in his book, Flow, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi says that any aspect of life can put you in flow when you take control of it and cultivate it in the direction of greater complexity. So greater complexity means that you're gaining skill, you're gaining knowledge about that area, and at the same time, you're increasing the challenges that you take on. So as you get better, you're thinking bigger about what you can do. Now, if you're an artist or creative, we can use this to our great advantage when we're doing projects for clients or just doing our own art. Learning to achieve flow state brings an increasing level of efficiency to our work because we're always getting better, and it helps us be more creative and get better ideas. And honestly, it just makes the work more fun to do, which increases our motivation and ultimately means we'll create more often. So are you ready to flow? Well, here are my top 5 tips inspired by the book Flow and based on my own personal experience. The first tip is to optimize the task itself. What you're doing has an impact on flow. So when you enjoy the task, it's going to be easier for you to get into flow, which seems totally obvious, but here are a few intentional, research-backed ways to make the task more pleasant for yourself, thus increasing your chances of getting into flow, even when it's a task you may not have chosen for yourself to do, like some client work. First, make it a task you have a chance of completing in the time that you have, or at least make sure it's a meaningful chunk of the task that you can get through. Similar to that, ensure that the task has clear goals and provides immediate feedback. Finally, look for an optimal balance of challenge and skill. If a task is too challenging, you will get anxious and frustrating, and on the flip side of that, if it's too easy, you'll get bored. The sweet spot is right in the middle. Now, yesterday I had an annual report to write for one of my clients, and to be honest, I was not super excited about doing it. But I used these steps to optimize my chances of getting into flow to write it. So first, as far as timing, I decided I would just spend 1 hour to get started. And I set a clear goal to myself to use that hour to pull together all of the resources that the client had provided, to get all that raw information into a single document, and then figure out how it would all fit together in the most interesting way. And as far as balancing challenge and skill, it really wasn't that challenging to just collect all of that information. So I was really in danger of dropping into boredom instead of staying in that flow channel. But by not letting myself just put it into like a really straightforward order, I instead worked it like a puzzle so that I could fit it together into the most interesting way to tell the story, and that gave me the right amount of challenge. And as a bonus, the final product is better because it's more interesting. Sidebar here to say that creative work is all about the energy that you bring to it And when you can bring a higher level of energy to executing the work, it's going to show through to everyone, including your clients, and it's just going to be more fun for you to do. Kind of related to this sidebar, the second tip is to allow doing the task to be its own reward. In Flow, Dr. C says that great thinkers have always been motivated by the enjoyment of thinking rather than by the material rewards that can be gained by it. I'd submit that great artists are the same. They are motivated by the joy of creating and not just from the material rewards that could be generated from our art. So seek out tasks that you enjoy doing during the doing. And if you're not sure what that is or how to find it, join my creative community, Full Soul, because that's a lot of what we explore together there. Third tip, put your brain into it. The more you are investing psychic energy, the more apt you'll be able to sink into flow. Now, that's exactly what I was doing on that annual report when I challenged myself to make it interesting. I was investing more psychic energy into it. Instead of just unplugging the brain to watch TV or to scroll social, how good are you, as Dr. C calls it, at entertaining yourself with just the content of your own mind? I think of it as going outside to play when we were kids. You just had to make up some games with whatever sticks and rocks that you could find in your area. I remember holding really elaborate wedding ceremonies for like my dog and cats or for some grasshoppers and beetles. My husband, I remember he was always carrying weapons around, like a baseball bat or a pocket knife, and he was pretending that he was on a secret mission. Please tell me in the comments what kinds of imaginary games you played as a kid. Now, I would challenge you to think about the adult version of that. Entertaining yourself with the contents of your own mind and the task in front of you as a tool, and practice that as a skill. Next tip is to practice concentrating your attention. You already know that the environment in which we live today is set up to distract you. However, the ability to focus and immerse yourself is key to entering flow state. In yoga, we call this ekagrata, and it means one-pointedness or single focus. And if you're not used to doing one thing at a time, you're going to have to practice this. My favorite ways to practice this skill are meditation, breathwork, and yoga, which I have resources for on my channel, but you can also just practice by setting a timer. You've probably already heard of the Pomodoro technique, which breaks work into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes in length, followed by a 5-minute break. Now, this is similar, but I often just use 15 minutes. When I'm having trouble focusing or I find myself putting something off, whether that's writing something for a client or just washing the dishes, I set my timer for 15 minutes and I turn off all my notifications, like my texts, my Slack, whatever, and I make myself a deal that if I concentrate only on completing that particular task during the 15 minutes, I'm allowed to totally stop what I'm doing when the timer goes off. It is amazing what you can get done in 15 minutes when you are completely focused. And even when I'm not finished when the timer goes off, often I've built up enough momentum that I just keep going. Final tip is to warm up by flowing in some other activity. Now, flow begets flow. So the more often you can get yourself into a flow state, even if it's not through your art, the easier it's going to be to find flow state when you are practicing your art. Here are 2 easy ways to find flow outside your creative work. First, movement of the body. Of course, I love yoga for this, but Tai Chi, Qigong, dancing, rock climbing, anything that combines intense focus with body movement can work well. The mind-body connection is really what makes it so powerful. Now, the second is to just simply engage the senses. As a human, you are genetically programmed to take in information via your 5 senses and to be delighted by those things that you find interesting or beautiful. Immersing yourself in this delight can put you in flow. So before you start your work, do something that captivates at least one of your senses. Listen to music, study some visual art, fully taste and enjoy a cup of really nice matcha, whatever stokes your senses. Now, everything we've talked about so far is knowledge that you now have in your head, which is great, but you also know that your best work is heart and soul work. It's not head work, it's heart work. And taking action is what brings clarity. So in that spirit, here is an action plan for you. I want you to inform it with your head. So take in this to-do list of information, but lead it with your heart and soul. Explore what feels best to you, what you're most attracted to. And when you find those things out, that is what's going to get you into flow state a lot faster. I'm giving you a list of things to do every day for 7 days, but if you get through day 1 and discover that it gave you tons of energy and made you feel amazing and highly creative, just do that every day and forget the rest of it. Again, this is heart and soul led work. Now here's the plan. You're just going to set aside 15 minutes a day at a time when you have your highest creative energy. If you don't know what your highest energy if you don't know your highest energy time of day, just start paying attention to how you're feeling throughout the day and or night and pinpoint when you feel the most creative. And you can start leveraging that information to do your best work. During the daily 15 minutes, you're going to experiment with things that fuel your creative energy and then take notes. So day 1, do a task that you genuinely enjoy doing, regardless of whether it's creative or not, for 12 minutes. Use the last 3 minutes to write how it made you feel. Give it an energy rating of 5. This is your baseline. On day 2, you're going to spend 12 minutes doing a body focus activity like dancing or taking a walk. Use the last 3 minutes again to write how it made you feel. Give it an energy rating from 1 to 10, comparing it to what you did on day 1. So since you gave day 1 the baseline rating of 5, if you like day 2's activity more, your rating is going to be greater than 5. And if you liked it less, your rating will be under 5. You see how it works. Now on day 3, you're going to spend 12 minutes doing a creative activity that isn't part of your normal work, like doodling or coloring or writing a haiku. Use the last 3 minutes to write how it made you feel, then give it an energy rating from 1 to 10, comparing it to the previous days. Day 4, same routine, you're going to spend 12 minutes. This time you're going to immerse yourself in something that is sensory. Listen deeply to a favorite song, savor a cup of coffee, or enjoy a poem. Use the last 3 minutes to write how it made you feel, give it an energy rating from 1 to 10, comparing it to all the previous days. Day 5, you're going to do your 12 minutes doing something imaginative that doesn't have an end goal, like brainstorming or sketching or daydreaming. Just use the last 3 minutes to write how it made you feel, give it an energy rating from 1 to 10, comparing it to previous days. Now on day 6, you have collected 5 days worth of data. You are going to take the whole 15 minutes to review the feelings and energy ratings that you've given all the activities that you've done so far. Make a list of which ones gave you the best feelings and most energy. During the 15 minutes of day 7, you're going to look at your list of energizing creative tasks that you wrote down on day 6, and you're going to make a plan for the next 7 days. Ask yourself, what did you love most? What do you want to explore more? Do those things for 15 minutes a day, every day for the next week. Repeat this process of collecting data, reflecting, and moving forward. Now, when you do this week after week, you are getting to know yourself and what you love to do, which is a luxury that we almost never allow ourselves. We're all so wired to be productive every minute of our lives that even 15 minutes of a creative practice can feel like a total waste of time. I still have to fight this type of thinking for myself, and I've literally transformed my work life by adding a daily creative practice. Experiment with letting that productivity mindset go and instead thinking of this as a necessary battery recharge for your creativity. Like, you have to plug your phone in sometimes, right? This is you plugging your phone in, and it's charging you much more efficiently than a glass of wine at the end of the day or a Netflix binge. Now, if you want this action plan in a Google Doc, it is linked below. And please let me know in the comments if you try this and how it worked out. And if you're looking to go deeper into this kind of stuff with other like-minded people, you can join me inside my creative community, Full Soul, and there's information for that linked below. All right, thanks for being here. I'll see you guys soon.